Are you looking for a portable pull-up bar or a freestanding portable pull-up bar and you don't know which one to go for? In this video, I'm going to be going through what I think are the 3 best portable freestanding pull-up bars out there, and I'm going to be grading each one over 5 main categories and also going over what makes each of these bars unique and special. So at the end of this video, you're going to be able to discover or find out which is the best bar for you. So let's get straight into the video. So I'm going to go over these 5 categories and I'm going to grade each of these or put them in order which ones I think are best for that particular category. If at any point you want to skip to the category that is more important to you, then go ahead. I'll leave timestamps down below, but we're going to go through them one by one. So the first one is going to be portability. When I'm looking at portability, I'm thinking, okay, how easy is it to transport this? If I want to move it from room to room, if I want to put it in the back of my car and travel and go and work out outside, because again, this is why we go for portable pull-up bars, because we want to be able to work out in different places, work out anytime, anywhere. So let's start off what I think is going to be the least portable of these bars, and that's going to be the pull-up mate. The reason being is this bar is bigger and heavier, and it comes in 2 of these bags. So these bags are pretty big, and obviously that's going to be harder if there's only one of you to be able to carry both of this. It's possible, but it is a bit more cumbersome. Again, you need to have the space for 2 of these bags, and again, that's going to make it harder to transport it. It's going to take up more space and it's going to be heavier. In second place, it will be the Gravity Fitness. This basically comes in 1 bag. So it's a little bit of a smaller bag, but all of it will fit in 1. They did say with the traditional Gravity Fitness bar, the black bit and minus these bit here, and obviously the orange bits, that was the original bag that would come in, and the extension kit, which is these 2 orange bit and again this height extension black bit here, these would also fit in the original bag. I've tried doing that. It is a bit of a tight squeeze. I can't always zip it up. I'm sure there's a good way of being able to put it together to get it back in the bag, but that is obviously going to be more portable. It's lighter, takes up less space. So at number 1 will be the BullBar. The reason being is these literally will fold apart. This comes all the way down, and it's kind of like a sort of like a scissor effect, and it will scissor down, and then you've got a nice handle to carry it, and the actual space of it is very, very small. So if you want to transport this and basically carry it around, this is lighter, smaller, and easier to move around. So for portability, the BullBar is a clear winner. So point number 2, set up and take down. How quick and how easy is it to do? So in last place will be the Gravity Fitness. This might just be that I've just got one of those bars that sometimes you'll get one and it's not quite as good as what the usual one be, and some of you may not have this issue, but I found this a little bit more cumbersome to be able to actually put together. The tolerances are really tight. Sometimes I really had to sort of like hammer the bars into shape. That might help with stability, which would be the 3rd point we're talking about, but it made it harder and slower to get to sort of line up the holes. I don't know if the holes are smaller, made it harder to sort of line them up. These sidebars, the extension kit, I actually found harder to be able to get into place. So overall, it took me far longer to be able to take it up, to set it up and to take it down. Second place will be the pull-up mate. This could just be that I've just got an older bar, maybe I've just so used to setting it up. However, maybe the tolerance is a little bit wider. So again, the stability might not be as much as the Gravity Fitness. However, getting on the sidebars is far easier. They literally just slot into place. The tolerances between lining up the holes were just far easier. I don't know if the holes are slightly bigger or the pins are thinner. Whatever it is, this thing was far faster to set up. It might take maybe 3 to 5 minutes to set this one up. This one took a little bit longer, but overall, it's not too bad with this style of bar with slot and clip into place. The clear winner is the BullBar. This one is literally, open up the legs, scissor it up, lock the latches here and there, put the pins in, you're done. You could probably, if you really wanted to push this, you could probably set this up in a minute and you could probably take it down in a minute. This thing is very, very quick and easy to be able to set up and take down, and it's one of the things that makes this bar special. So before we get on to the 3rd point, if you want to check out any of these products, there are links down below, and some of them I have discount codes, and they are affiliate links, and if you do go through them, it does help the channel. So in advance, thank you. But let's get on to the 3rd point, which is going to be a big one for many of you, and this is going to be stability. So this one was a bit of a tighter one to go for because they're kind of more stable in different ways. So it was a very close tie between these 2. But I would say probably the Gravity Fitness is more stable. I don't know if it's because, again, the tolerances, but when I get onto this bar, there's just like virtually no movement this way at all. There's a little bit of movement here. We move on to sort of like the pull-up mate. There's a bit more wiggle movement here, but when you're in this side position, there's just like going this way, there's just no movement at all. So obviously these two are very, very close, but probably the Gravity Fitness is probably the tighter one. When it comes to side movement, weirdly enough, the BullBar's the most stable on that kind of side lateral movement. Like this one hardly moves in comparison to these guys. These ones have got quite a bit of side movement. This one, there's very little, but obviously we're gonna have more movement in this way. Again, these guys have got the sidebars to literally restrict that. This one, I would say the side movement might be a little bit tighter because these bars actually slot in to side as opposed to just having this crossbar sort of wedge in between, but there's gonna be a little bit of tolerance there, but weirdly, no side movement. So I guess it depends on which stability you're more focused on. This one, like I said, you're gonna have more movement that way. That might be more important to you. I don't know why you'd worry about this much, but I would say it's a very, very close tie for stability for these two, and this one will probably be in second, but still, it's very, very stable, but in the side position, and then if you're in the dip position, there's virtually no movement at all. So they're all very, very good for stability. Probably the Gravity Fitness would win it overall. So point number 4, and this is probably gonna be the most important one, that's gonna be the amount of exercises you can do. So I would say in last place is gonna be the Gravity Fitness. This one, once you have these bars set up, you're mainly gonna be using it for doing pull-ups. The nice thing is you do have this cross member, so if you wanna be able to do your neutral grips, that's really nice to be able to do, but like a viewer pointed out before, is because you've got these pins sticking out, I'm not sure if it's gonna be as safe to be able to flip this thing over to then use sort of these bars to be able to do dips on or push-ups. It's an option, but again, you need to have the space to be able to flip it over. That can be an issue. The other thing as well is if you wanna lower this down into the dip setting, you can do that, but it's not that stable. And obviously in that lower dip station, you're not allowed to use these supporting bars. So again, you can't use them for that. And obviously you have to take this thing apart to be able to do that. So you can do it, but I just don't think there's as many exercises you can do with this bar. You can attach a set of gymnastic rings and that would work, but that's where you're limited to. With the pull-up, mate, you can flip this over either way and you can do all the different exercises. Similar to the Gravity Fitness, you've got a nice bar, again, attach a set of gymnastic rings, but then you can do your neutral grips if you want to. If you want to be able to lower this down into the dip setting, you can. It's sort of just as stable as the Gravity Fitness one. However, these side bars, you basically take away the red bar and actually you can then slot this in, so then you have kind of the stability of this section in the dip, and it's very, very solid. It's really, really nice, and you can do that. You can, if you want, in that sort of position, do some inverted rows. However, there's not as many exercises you can do in this form, but again, you can flip it over and do stuff. But the problem with this one is bigger, so it takes up more space than the Gravity Fitness. However, you know, you're gonna have to have that space to be able to flip it over, to be able to utilize those other exercises. When it comes to the BullBar, it's a clear winner. This thing is built as not just a portable pull-up bar, freestanding one, it is a home gym. Again, you've got a nice straight bar. You don't have the neutral grips to be able to do the sort of neutral grip pull-ups, or sort of the cross member, but you do have a nice long bar, so you can pick whatever width you want. You have the tapered one if you like to go extra wide. Again, you can do the chin-ups, but the grip overall is nice. If you were to compare the grips, this one is a lot thinner than these two. These ones are a lot thicker. So depending on the size of your hand, you might find it easier or harder, but that'd be more challenging on the grip. This is smaller and it also has kind of like this grippier sort of foam on there, where these ones you are going to want to use chalk on it because your hands will just slip. But you have the dip handles. This is what separates this one, is that the dip handles are already in place. These ones you would have to lower to get them into the dip stations. This one, it's already set up. So you can do your dips on here if you want. You can go underneath it. You can do your inverted rows. Again, if you lower it down, you can then go into these other holes. You can then do push-ups. You can put your feet up on them to do Bulgarian split squats. It's also got resistance bands, sort of holes or attachments, so you can attach resistance bands. So not only can you make those exercises harder, but you actually can then do stuff like squats, you can do deadlifts, you can do anything with a resistance band you can attach this to, and you can do that. So if you're looking for a bar that allows you to do more stuff, more exercises, and isn't just a pull-up bar, but it also sort of turns into a full gym, the BullBar is a clear winner. And then I would say sort of a slight ahead, the pull-up mate over the Gravity Fitness. So the fifth point we're going to look at is price. And this is a bit of a funny one, because if we're looking at the price, the BullBar is more expensive than both of these. Depending on sort of whether you're able to get this whenever you see this video, you might be able to get this while they've got on offer because it's still relatively new. If you're in the UK or in EU, it's only just come, it was been shipping in America for a while, but it's only recently come to UK and Europe. So depending on where you're buying this from, you might be able to get this on a deal. I bought this on a pre-sale at $245. I think you can buy this one now for £270. I think someone said it might be $400 if you want to buy American, which for some people is going to be expensive. However, it depends on what you want from the bar. If you look at how all these sort of things have stacked, would you say that's worth it when you can get maybe a fixed sort of pull-up bar and it would probably cost you more maybe? You have to weigh up the price, but this one is a clear, you could say, loser when it comes to price. This one is far more expensive. The Gravity Fitness is probably the best value because you can buy the set bar, I think, for 129, and then the height extension kit is 49 quid. I think there might be a deal where you get both together in a sort of like a package. It ends up being a little bit cheaper, but you could be getting something that's, you know, under 150, 160, 170 quid. So it's nearly, you know, not quite half the price, but it's a lot cheaper than the BullBar. The Pull-Up Mate 2 you can't actually buy anymore. The maker of it stopped working, so like you can't buy these anymore. If you can find one of these on eBay, on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, whatever it is, I highly recommend if you can get one of these. Sometimes you might be able to find a steal for like 100 quid. Really, these are just bars. You might get some, like of mine, have got a bit of like surface sort of thing on them, but as long as you look after them, maybe paint them over again, don't leave them outside, they're just metal bars. So this one would last you a lifetime. I've had this bar for, I want to say, nearly 10 years now. And it is what it is. So if you can find it cheap, this one's probably going to be the best value if you can find it. However, I have done a bit of a test to see if you can buy the traditional Pull-Up Mate 1, like these ones, on eBay, Facebook all the time. And I have seen little knockoffs on Amazon and eBay. Sometimes it's the same shape, but they use a different color. They're kind of like maybe looking more like the Gravity Fitness shape, but you can find these sort of cheaper knockoff variations. However, I did test putting the Gravity Fitness extension kit, not the height extension kit, but the actual just supporting bars, and I attached them to the Pull-Up Mate to see if you could get away with it. And sort of as a little hack, maybe if you can find one of these cheap, you might be able to buy those, and then maybe you might be able to get the whole set for under 100 quid, but you're gonna have to take this at your own risk. I'm not saying do this, I'm not saying it's safe to do, I'm not advising you to do it. You might buy it and they might not fit your bar, so you waste your money, or you buy them and they slip off the sides, and then potentially you could hurt yourself, or they could come off and damage something. You have to do this at your own risk. I'm not recommending it. However, I tested those bars out with the Pull-Up Mate, and it wasn't as stable as these bars, because obviously these slot in specifically, and they then even have the pins to lock them into place. But that might be one way in which you might be able to save yourself a little bit of money and actually get one of these sort of bars for a lot cheaper. So again, value for money, you're probably gonna go for the Gravity Fitness. This one is a lot more expensive, but you do get a lot more for it. So you have to weigh up what you think your money's worth. What are you going to prioritize, especially with these things that I've gone through? Which one do you think is worth the money for you? But now let's talk about what makes these bars special, so you can have the sort of the final points on each of these bars, so you have all the information you need to make possibly a purchase in the future. So now let's talk about what makes each of these bars special. Why would you want to go for one of these bars over the other? They have something that the other one doesn't have. So if we look at the Gravity Fitness, you can clearly see, if you look, is that this bar is a lot taller. So if you are focused on being able to do full dead hang pull-ups, like I'm doing here, then the Gravity Fitness is a clear winner. I mean, like I said, I'm about 5'11", 6 foot, and I'm basically, my feet slightly in front of me, but I'm doing a full dead hang pull-up. And it's a really solid, stable bar. So if you prioritize that, because a lot of these bars, portable ones, they have a fixed height. The only problem with that though is it just make sure if you're looking to buy somewhere, you have high ceilings, otherwise you'll get this bar and you won't be able to use it. So, but that, stable, really nice height, perfect. When it comes to the Pull-Up Mate, is that you have something that can be easily flipped over. So it's not just a pull-up bar. You can flip this over and you can sort of, this will be leant over. I'll pop up some clips now, and you can start using these for dips. You can start using them for push-ups. You can go underneath and start doing them in inverted rows. It's great. It's a really, really simple bar. But then it moves into, you have to lower it, of course, but you can lower this into the dip station. And like I said, you remove this red bar here into the dip station. You can now add these onto the side. So now you've got a really, really solid dip station. You don't have to buy a separate one. And because obviously if you look at the floor base of the pull-up mate has got the biggest floor space. It takes up the most room. That could be potential con of this one compared to the other ones is this one, the pull-up mate is very wide and very long. It takes up a lot more space than the Gravity Fitness. So if you're limited on space, you know, the Gravity Fitness one is going to be better in that regard between those two. Because this has a wider base, this thing is ridiculously stable. And in that dip station, it's pretty good. When it comes to the BullBar, this one actually, weirdly enough, is sort of just as sort of long, long as the pull-up mate, but it's not as wide. But it's still very, very stable with these feet that you have. But what makes the BullBar special is it is more of a home gym than a portable pull-up bar because it has all of the things right here ready for you to use in its fixed state. If you want to do pull-ups, you've got all the variations, nice long straight horizontal bar, but obviously a slight taper here. So again, if you want to do the wide, this is the only bar that has it. It does lack the sort of neutral grip one compared to the others. It depends which one you think is more important. But what makes it special is that you've got these dip handles here. I don't have to worry about lowering this bar to be able to do dips. I could do pull-ups straight into dips. So if you like supersetting, this thing's perfect. But these dip handles, not only have they got a nice little taper, where these ones have a fixed sort of dip, so where you've got the little sort of cross member here that comes across, that is your fixed dip width. This one has kind of a tapered handle, so you can actually have a bit more of a choice on how wide you do your dips. But you can go under these bars and you can start doing inverted rows as well. If you want to, if you have something, you can do them at the same height, but you'll probably likely have to lower these. You have two different holes to be able to lower these, so you can use them for doing push-ups as well. So the idea of doing supersets is there. You can put your feet up on these if you want to do Bulgarian split squats as well. But it doesn't stop there. At the very, very bottom, you've got a place to attach resistance bands. So not only, again, the benefits of resistance bands, and I'll leave a link to the end of this video so you can watch the video on the benefits of resistance band, but a number of exercises you can do with resistance bands, from me doing squats, to me doing deadlifts here, to doing bicep curls, to doing overhead press. If you want to do your side raises, you can do your side raises if you want. So you have more exercises you can do, but you can also then make those exercises harder. I can attach a resistance band to me now, and I can now start making my chin-ups harder. I can have them over me and I can start making my dips harder. I can make my inverted rows harder. I can make my push-ups harder. I have not only just a way of doing more exercise, but I have a way of doing those core exercises and making them progressive. So overall, you're getting a home gym that allows for more exercises and progressions within as well. That's what makes the BullBar so special. And again, linked to the fifth point of price, this is why it's priced more expensively than these, because you're getting far more into a product. And also you're getting a product that is smaller, more portable, and easier to set up and take down. So again, you're gonna have to look at that and value, okay, what do I value? Is that worth that money to me? So guys, let me know what you think down below. It's a lot to take in. It's quite a comprehensive sort of review. It's kind of like a mini review on each of these bars in one, and also a comparison. So thank you for sticking with me. And again, I hope each of the chapters you find what you're looking for. But let me know what you think down below. If you tried any of these bars, what do you think? There are links to these two. You can't find one of these out there, but there's links to these ones down there. You can check that out if you want. But guys, let me know what you think about that. And subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, but also content with these videos as well, with these bars as well. And I'll see you guys in the next one.